What's up, gang? Tim from OKR Quick Start. Elon Musk has been all over the news lately, and I kind of hate to be talking about him. I even did a video about the debacle at Twitter a couple of weeks back. But a really interesting tweet came out that I wanted to talk about with you all. Elon came up with rules for meetings. And all in all, it's about 6 rules that he talks about. And it's actually an email that he sent to his Tesla staff. I think there's a lot of lessons to be taken from when we talk about having impactful meetings. So I actually want to run through the 6 of them now. So rule number 1, avoid large meetings. So large meetings waste valuable time and energy. They discourage debate. People are more guarded than open, and there's not enough time for everybody to contribute. Don't schedule them. So I actually really agree with this. Unless you've got an incredible facilitator that's there to draw ideas out from an entire room, large meetings are more of a waste of time and tends to really kill off people putting input if they're a little bit quiet. So the more introverts of us, they find these really hard. So I think we've actually nailed that one there. I actually really love that one. Keep your meetings really short and focused and include only the people that need to be there. That moves us nicely on to number 2 here, which is leave a meeting if you're not contributing. And I think, this is where I think it talks about it's not being rude. Yeah, it's not being rude to leave a meeting. I don't know why people freak out about this, but if you're not getting value out of a meeting, drop out. Just don't wander off, and particularly in this day and age where a lot of us are on Zoom calls, you can just drop a comment saying, hey, I don't have anything to contribute. I'm not getting anything out of this. I'm out of here. That's perfectly fine to me. So if you're not getting value out of the meeting, just go. Don't feel like you need to hang around. Wasting people's time and sort of sticking around is definitely not a good thing, and feeling like you need to say something in a meeting is a whole big waste of time as well. So don't do that. Forget the chain of command and communicate with colleagues directly. Don't go through supervisors and managers, and communicate fast and make fast decisions. Fast decisions equal a competitive advantage. I love that. I don't know why or where this comes from. In fact, I do know where it comes from. It comes from defense and also a legacy era of tailor-based work practices where you've got to go and talk to your supervisor, and then your supervisor talk to their manager. And it is just a super slow process. If you're trying to move fast as an organization and you need to solve a problem and you can solve that problem by talking to someone directly, doesn't matter their seniority. I don't care if they're, someone on the phones at a frontline staff member all the way to the CEO. You go talk to that person and make it happen. Fast decisions is absolutely key. So I love that one. Be clear, not clever. This is one I've actually heard from Musk a few times where he's talked and sort of set rules of not using acronyms unless they're a well-known industry standard. So for example, MPH, miles per hour, that's probably acceptable. But any other sort of internal buzzword that we have as an organization, kill those off. And we all work for organizations where we know there's some little acronym that we've got, and there's probably also acronyms that no one really knows what they mean. Use clear language, concise words, to the point, easy to understand. Don't sound smart, be efficient. Absolutely agree with that. Number 5, ditch frequent meetings. This is an interesting one that I kind of was like, what does he mean by this? So he says, there's no better way to waste everyone's time. Use meetings to collaborate, attack issues head-on, solve urgent problems. But once you've resolved the issue, frequent meetings are no longer necessary. What I wonder is, if I look at structures I really like, where, for example, Scrum, you have a regular get-together, you look at what's working and not working from a work practices perspective, or even planning out for the next few weeks of work, what you're going to be focusing on. To me, I like those kind of meetings. What I dare say is that as long as those are really driving that collaboration, driving that problem solving, and allowing us to batch those at a high enough frequency where things aren't getting out of control, but we're able to jump in and solve problems, then I think it's pretty good. I dare say I think I'm aligned with him on this one, but it's pretty hard to really draw out the deeper meaning behind it. As a team, you want to have a good regular cadence where you get together. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to think about booking meetings. You just know that we get together and talk. And there's other sort of short, sharp, efficient meetings that can help with coordination. So things like daily stand-ups, that's not a lot of time when you think about some of the benefits that come off it, where we talk about how we're collaborating. As long as you're not using it as a status update, but actually talking about how are we collaborating, where I need help. It's a really short, rapid fire way of getting that support. He does say that you resolve most issues outside of a meeting, things like text, email. Like sometimes I tend to agree with that, but that cadence is really sort of powerful. But again, recurring meetings for unnecessary sort of things do really kill off that sort of vibe and energy the team has. The last one was use common sense. If a company rule doesn't make sense, avoid following the rule with your eyes closed. So what he's saying here is don't just follow the business rules without even sort of thinking about the why behind it. I think what we're saying here is follow the intent of it. In fact, he closes with don't follow rules, follow principles. So if we can draw out that a rule is probably in place because of some sort of principle, it's there to try and avoid something happening. Now, if you don't think that's a risk for you or it's not relevant to your situation, don't follow the rule. And so that to me is a pretty powerful sort of statement. Follow principles, that is a really big thing, right? If you are going to have any way of working, follow principles, have clear principles as an organization that then people can go and make their own decisions around day to day. It helps them sort of prioritize things. Are we about moving fast or really high standards of engineering? Is that even a trade-off that we need to consider? There's all these sort of different perspectives that we might want to call out as part of our principles. If you want to see some good examples of principles, there's this thing called the Agile Manifesto. You've probably heard of it. If you haven't, it talks about how product-led software teams should work. And it also talks about, from a values perspective, what do they value? And also talks about a number of principles that Agile teams should follow. So that's a really cool example of principles. So anyway, I just wanted to give a bit of a reaction to that list. I know someone else tweeted it and Elon Musk said, correct, that's a good thread. That's what he wrote. So, although I'm a little bit funny about Musk at times, and he's sort of made some pretty controversial decisions, he is obviously a master of scale and he knows how to grow a business rapidly and how to align teams rapidly, and certainly teams that he's nurtured from the ground up or from the early stages anyway, seem to do pretty well. Maybe not so in other organizations where he's coming in and shaking things up. But regardless, I can't really deny those 6 points that he just shared. So anyway, I'll include a link to the thread so you can check it out for yourself, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.